Screen printing gets its name because it involves literally printing through the mesh of a screen. Screen printing is also commonly known as silk screen because silk was originally used as the screen. Today, a fine polyester mesh is generally used instead. To create a printing screen, you must first construct a wooden frame and then tightly stretch the fabric around it. This process is similar to how you stretch a canvas. Next, a stencil is painted onto the surface of the screen. One way to do this is by applying an opaque screen blocking fluid to the areas where you don't want the ink to push through. When the stencil is ready to print, the paper is placed underneath the screen and an oil or acrylic-based screen printing ink is smeared on top of the screen. The artist then uses a long rubber squeegee to evenly coat the ink across the surface of the screen. The ink is pushed through the visible mesh of the screen onto the surface of the paper below. As with the other printing processes, multiple colors must be printed from multiple screens. When the addition is finished, the stencil can be washed off and the surface of the screen can be reused. Like lithography, screen printing has its roots in commercial printing. It was used heavily in the 20th century for everything from printing illustrations, to wallpaper, to patterns on clothing. Screen printing is well suited for commercial applications because it produces very uniform prints and the stencil can be printed hundreds or thousands of times before deteriorating. Until the 1960s, screen printing was not used very much by fine artists. It was not considered to be a fine art medium because of the relative cheapness of the process and its commercial association. The American pop artist Andy Warhol was one of the first to utilize screen printing as a fine art process. Warhol, who came from a commercial art background himself, took images directly from advertising and media sources. Because these images were already screen prints to begin with, it was simple to make stencils from them and print them again at a larger scale. The difference was that Warhol's reprinted images were placed in art galleries and served the function of fine art prints rather than commercial prints. Warhol's screen-printed images of household products and people with household names were intended to challenge the distinction between high art and low art.